Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. The phone's not shaking, it's sitting still, so must have got a tripod. I did. I found one on Amazon for like 15 or 16 bucks and thought I'd try it. It's one of those that holds your phone. It's telescopic, so you can adjust it up and down. I thought, you know what the heck, why not? I'll try it and see how it works out. With this video, I thought I'd kind of answer some questions that I had seen a lot of people comment about, like where are we from, who are we, what do we do, things like that. So I'm going to try to make this part of the video as unedited as possible. So forgive me if I kind of stutter, if I've got to think about some things before I say it. Like I said, I just was judging off some of the comments left behind about some of the things people wanted to know. As you can tell by my shirt, we're from East Tennessee is where we farm at. This farm that I farm on was actually a part that was given to my mom through inheritance. It's been in my family since probably the late 1700s. There's people buried out here on this other part of the farm that was born in 1780, 1790, things like that. And we've got records that go back at least to the late 1700s of our family owning this on my mom's side. My dad always grew up farming, but my dad grew up farming tobacco. A lot of the farming that they done was hand labor farming. My dad said growing up that they'd have 5-6 acre corn patches and they never had a corn picker. So like I said, so when my dad got grown and married my mom, my dad got out of farming, but when I was born, I was always into it because my uncles had done it. I grew up in a farming community, still live in one, same one. So I always grew up interested in farming, especially my uncles, and my uncles had actually leased this farm up until about a couple years ago, and they still lease part of it with the pasture ground, but all the hay ground I've kind of tried to take back. When I was 14, 15, 16, I started helping another neighbor farm quite a bit. And the more and more that I was with him and the more and more I was with my uncles and cousins, the more and more that I wanted to farm. I don't want to say I'm a first-generation farmer because I'm not. Because the ground, I didn't have to go out and buy the ground. I'm not leasing ground or anything like that. The little Ford tractor that you see in the videos was my grandpa's. We kind of got that from him. But the David Brown that you see, I went out and I bought that when I was probably 20 or 21. The disc mower, things like that, I've bought them a piece at a time. I haven't really dumped a lot of money into my equipment. I'll buy a spray here, bush hog there, just one or two pieces to try to accumulate everything up. I started the hay business because I thought that it was an easy way to get into farming. At least, if I didn't like the hay, I could back out of it. But so far, I like the hay. But my dilemma is right now, and you guys can drop some comments or discussion below. I only farm on about 35 to 40 cleared acres. Only probably 10 to 13 of those is actual hay ground and the rest is pasture. I could probably mow some of the pasture if I wanted to, but some of it gets pretty steep. I realize right now that I'm probably making more money off my hay than I ever would with 10 or 12 cows. But like I said, I would like to get some cows one day, maybe even some steers. I've got a couple buddies that's into sheep. They say they're doing pretty good with sheep, but right now I'm just kind of focusing on raising and selling my hay product. This has all been stuff I've learned from scratch. I never have taken any classes over it. It's just been stuff that I've picked up from neighbors, picked up off the internet, picked up off YouTube, things like that. I bale about anywhere from 2,000 to 2,200 bales a year. It's kind of what I average. And yes, by the comments that has been made, I do pick up everything by hand. As you can see behind me, this is something from the last video we just pulled in the barn, and I still haven't unstacked it because if somebody wants to buy it, they can just buy it off the trailer. But this will lead to something. This will lead to something else in the video I want to talk about. And you may be asking, why do you hand load all this? Okay, well, I've got a couple dilemmas. Number one, I could buy a hitch and put on my wagon and buy me a couple old wooden wagons and have somebody ride and stack hay. But now I teach school, and a lot of times what I do where I'm off for the summertime, I'll get started baling around lunch. And the problem is the majority of your people that wants to work is not going to be able to come help you starting at 12, 1 o'clock. And I actually want to go ahead and get started a little earlier. Seems like it's hard to find younger people that wants to work. My dad's told me stories back when he was a kid that he was always out helping somebody load hay or cut tobacco or something like that constantly. But it seems like as the generations have went further, more people has got out of agriculture and less kids want to work. I don't put up enough hay right now. Just like I said, I've only been into it for a couple years now. I don't put up enough to buy an accumulator. And what an accumulator is it's something that goes behind the square baler and accumulates 8 to 10 bales, and they call it a flat. And basically what you do is it's left in that flat, and you have a grapple that comes along, and that grapple sets down on it and sets like 8 or 10 claws into that hay, and you can load it on a trailer that way. But a cheap accumulator and a grapple, I've seen some cheap ones, $6,500 to $7,000. And I know a lot of people don't think that's a lot of money, but when you're trying to make profit off something, you don't dump every bit of your profit into buying 1 or 2 pieces of equipment. So that's why I don't have an accumulator. I have looked into New Holland stack wagons. Some of you guys, if you don't know what those are, look them up. They're really cool, and they're really neat technology for the time that they came out. I've looked into one of those. There's a guy a couple counties over from me says he's got an older one that I've thought about calling about. And the barn that we're in here, it's I believe it's 16 or 17 feet high before you get to the trusses. So it's plenty high enough to back in and dump the stack wagon. And I've also looked at Easy Trail bale baskets. If you've never seen those, look those up too. They're pretty cool. The bale baskets, basically it's a big basket you pull behind your baler. The baler itself pushes bales up to like a big tray or a big cage, and they just flop off into that basket. You can hold about 100 per basket, and then when you get to the barn, you just pull the latch and they all fall out, but then you still have to stack them. I haven't really decided what I want to do. So far, I've been lucky enough to have people help me get them up. I do really good when people come buy them out of the field. That's probably my favorite thing to do. What I'll do, I'll set my counter, and if they want 250, I'll bale until 250, and then I'll tell them everything from this point down is yours. So that way I can kind of keep up with it. But the people that buys my hay is a lot of people that I know personally, and I trust them. But if you're selling hay to people you don't know or that you don't trust, keep up with it, because it's really real easy for somebody to throw 10, 15 extra bales on their trailer and not pay you for them. But that's kind of where I'm at. I know there's bigger farms out there and there's smaller farms out there, but I'm just trying to, I guess, dip my toes in the water and see if I like farming on my own. And so far I do. The only issue is just like everything else in today's economy, everything's so high, $5 fuel. And you know, if you take your fertilizer, if you take your grass, you've got to put fertilizer back on it. And the fertilizer that I put on in the other video wasn't that cheap either, so that takes away from your profit margin. You hiring people to help takes away from your profit margin. All these different things just takes away from your profit. So as cheap as you can keep it, keep it. The David Brown is extremely fuel efficient. Yeah, are there better tractors out there? Yeah, but I can put 5 gallons in it and run it all day long. Same with a little Ford. I can put 5 gallons of fuel in it and rake all day long. These boys out here that's charging $8, $9, $10 a bale for clean hay, and which it is orchard. Some of it may be alfalfa mix too, or straight up orchard grass and alfalfa mix. These guys, I see them, they're running $50,000, $60,000 tractors, $20,000, $30,000 balers, accumulators. I'm able to charge a cheaper price because I don't have as much money in my equipment. So like I said, you've got to kind of play your cards to as where you want to go with your farm and your business. Okay, so now let's get me off there. It's 1,000 Wonders the camera ain't broke anyways. I want to teach you a difference between something. I want to teach you a difference between sun-bleached versus not sun-bleached. And I know it'll be kind of hard to tell the difference in light in here, but I'm going to explain why some people kind of shy away from some hay versus some people that may want to buy hay. This hay was set out for about 4 to 5 days, and it was in some kind of wetter ground, and I wanted to make sure that it was dry. I don't have preservative. I don't have an applicator. I don't put preservative on my hay or anything like that. So everything I put up is just solely based off the moisture of the hay itself. I wanted to make sure it was dry. Now, the longer hay sits out in the sun, it becomes sun-bleached. And I don't know if the camera will really pick it up or not, but it's kind of got a yellowish tint to it. Okay, now this hay has, of course, whenever the sun sets, of course, it shines on it too. But the majority of the bleaching came from the 4 or 5 days that it set out. Is there anything wrong with sun-bleached hay? Not really. You'll hear some horse people say, well, it's too dry for my horses, it's too dusty, things like that. But does it affect the quality? Not really. Now, I don't know if you can tell a difference in this hay or not, but this hay only set out for about 2, I want to think it maybe was 3 days, but I want to think it was 2 days. And I can't really look much under this plastic, but if you pay attention, it has somewhat of a greener tint. Now, I do stack everything on pallets, too. That's always a good thing. You do not want your hay sitting on the bottom of the ground. I always stack mine on edge as well too on the bottom layer. Now you will have some people say, well, you know, why do you put plastic on your hay when it's undercover? Okay, well, I've got two reasons. Number one reason, putting the plastic over it keeps the sun off of it. All right, it doesn't get bleached out. Now, number two reason, the way the wind normally blows is this way, and the way our barn's built, it seems like some water actually gets into it, and I want to make sure that no water gets on my hay. Now, you'll hear different people say, well, the hay can't breathe under this plastic or anything like that, but I've got it actually kind of tied down right here. I've got it actually ran over, and then I've got some pallets and stuff laid on the back, and I've got some pallets up front, but all these sides under the bottom here are open, and anytime a gust of wind comes through, it pretty much inflates it like a big balloon. And so that way it's keeping fresh air moved in it pretty much anytime the wind's blowing, which would pretty much cause the same effect as if there was no plastic on it at all. A bale in the middle of the stack is not going to get any fresh air anyways. So like I said, as long as you get your outside, as long as it gets some fresh air and air circulating, you'll be just fine. So what's your guys' opinion? What should I do? Should I try to buy wagons? Find some people to help me stack it? Just keep on doing it the way I'm doing, hand loading it? Buy an Easy Trail bale basket, or buy a New Holland stack wagon, or heck, maybe even buy a baler with a kicker, or buy a kicker for my baler. I don't know. I'm just trying to weigh in my options. I don't think I'm at the point where I need an accumulator and grapple. But like I said, I just wanted to kind of give you a little info about me, a little info about what we do. I'm going to try to throw in a farm tour and stuff sometime in this video. Maybe a little bit more history and things like that. I just kind of wanted to update something. Kind of really mainly wanted to use my tripod. So thank you guys for the 1,000 subscribers. I never thought that I'd post a video that'd get 70,000 views. I never did. But thanks each and every one of you all. Y'all are awesome. The dogs say thanks too.